Happy New Year, listeners. Welcome to Stage Door Athletic. It's good to be back, and literally I am just back in the UK, because as you will have known, I was gloating to Jack and James about my South American trip, which was as awesome as I anticipated it to be, if not more so. Incredible time in Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, the paradise island of Florianopolis, and a little long weekend in Buenos Aires to bring it home. Oh, I did nip over to Uruguay for lunch, obviously, just to add another passport stamp, which was great. And now I got back to London last night via Paris, straight to bed. I'm quite rested, but I thought I'd do something a little bit different based on my South American trip. I ran into, via my friend Mark, who works for FIFA, which listeners may remember I have spoken a bit about before, and I'm hoping to go to the World Cup this summer. In fact, I am going to go to the World Cup this summer in the USA and stay at Mark's flat in Miami. But I went for dinner in Brazil with one of Mark's friends, Philip, who's joining me now. I'm going to introduce him in a second. He can tell us more about his role at FIFA. But we met in, just picture the scene, had a lovely day in Copacabana. We had New Year's Eve in Copacabana Beach, which was extraordinary. I shall tell you about that another time. But, you know, a little day mooching around post-New Year. Had a little walk around Botafogo where I was staying. Went to have a look at the Spanish Steps, where you'll get to see lots of pictures of people who've been to Rio, those colourful steps. It's this kind of like tourist version of going to a favela or a community, as we say now. And you go along, you take all your pictures and you get out of there. And then we went and had a lovely lunch, and then Mark said, come and meet my friend Philip, he works for FIFA. Made my way to Leblon, which is just behind Ipanema Beach, for anyone who's been there. And as I was going, all hell broke loose. A storm broke loose in Rio de Janeiro. And as you know, when you're away in hot climates, storms are storms. You know, they're good. They really come down. And the rain really came down. So we hid under a canopy in a bar, had a beer. Texted Philip, said we were a little bit late. And we went round to the restaurant and met Philip and his beautiful, beautiful girlfriend, Anna. Brazil is full of beautiful people, but Anna is right up there, inside and out. And we went and had a lovely dinner at, where was it? What was it called, Philip, the place that you're now regular at?
Clan, it's called.
Clan, that's it. Highly recommend if you're in Leblon. And as we were chatting away, outside, having a beer, waiting for our table, Philip told me about what he does at FIFA, and I just thought it's so fun and so extraordinary, I needed to get him on for him to tell us more. But first of all, hi, Philip. How are you doing? You all right?
Hey, Rob. Good to see you.
You too.
Glad to hear that you enjoyed your time in South America.
So good.
It sounded like you really had a great time.
Yeah, it was so good. And what's quite sickening is I looked at your Instagram as I was flying back last night, and there's these slightly, I would say posed, if I might say, pictures of you jogging down Ipanema Beach with beautiful Anna, topless, Anna next to you in super athletic wear, jogging down Ipanema Beach in the sunshine. Like, what is your life about right now? That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's a very good holiday I'm having here at the moment.
Yeah,
in Rio.
But you're going to be working there later this year, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I will have a couple of stints that I'll be here. We have a lot of projects, obviously, globally. So Brazil being world champion 5 times.
Yeah,
it's a country that we always come to when we're in South America. It's a great place. I mean, not only for what you have experienced, but to connect really to football as well. I think I don't know if you felt it's everywhere. You can sense it.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Like even bikinis are in Brazil kit, aren't they? You know, people are wearing Brazil kit in all sorts of forms, be it speedos, shorts, bikinis, all the rest of it, as well as all the various rip-off kits that take place in all the markets. So tell us, day to day, because you work at FIFA, you've worked there 10 years, haven't you? Based out of Zurich, and now you're about to have these other adventures. But what is like your day-to-day role outside of tournaments? Because I want to hear about the tournament role as well.
Yeah, so as you said, 10 years, and I mean, if you work in an industry that's probably quite exciting, and if you love what you do, then 10 years feels like it's 2 weeks. Like, it was really quick.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never thought
of course,
that it would be 10 years when I started in 2015. But yeah, I'm working in the team of Arsene Wenger, which is global football development.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe sometimes people don't really realize that, what FIFA is doing, the money we make from the Men's World Cup, we reinvest it into football.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do in our department to actually develop football globally, like across the 211 member associations that we have. I mean, in England you have the FA, But then there are 210 other FAs in the other countries. And we kind of make sure that the people who work in these FAs are as educated and up to speed to do their job as good as possible, to make sure that in those places where football is maybe not yet as developed, gets developed, and in other places that it stays the most popular sport.
How's it working with Arsene Wenger?
Arsene, he's first of all, he's a great gentleman, right? I think if you're with him, any meetings, any session you have, any discussion, you can really feel he's curious. He's not a child anymore, obviously, by age and by experience. He's much more experienced than the two of us together in football. But it's somebody who's really curious. So I think when he joined FIFA as well, he came from the professional game, and he openly says, "Hey, Philip, the education bit or the development bit, it was not something that I was exposed to much in earlier years." So he's really interested to understand how the ecosystem of football works, and not only academy and top 0.01% of the pyramid, which is professional players, but the game is much bigger, right? Like the amateur game. And people who may be trying to get professional, they have other challenges, and we try to support these people. Like we're really supporting football in its entity, like the real ecosystem, not only thinking top Premier League, Championship, but the whole system. And I think working with him has been, I learned a lot from him, but I think he at times also says, I had no idea that how maybe in parts of Asia, Africa, Oceania, the Caribbean, South America, where you've just been, how things are run. And I think it's it's great working with him. It's just a real pleasure.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of my great mates works for BAFTA, which is the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, which, a lot of people will be familiar with. The awards ceremony, which, is a kind of second fiddle to the Oscars, the British Oscars, if you like. But I think what people fail to know about BAFTA is it's a big charity that's working all year round, supporting development and artists, and aspiring as well as professional ones in film, TV, and increasingly now in games as well, video games and technology. And the Oscar, the ceremony, the Oscar bit, the BAFTA Awards, is like a tiny little portion of what they do, and is the public face of it. And so what I'm hearing you saying is FIFA, obviously the big tournaments become the focal point, and better than anyone, FIFA comes under all sorts of criticism for how wealthy it is or might not be. But what people perhaps don't see is that big bit of the iceberg underneath the surface that's doing all of this work globally all the time, which is what you're doing day to day, I imagine. Yeah,
exactly. And if you look at it even from a little bit more dry and boring governance point of view, then we are a non-for-profit association under Swiss association law, and so we don't have any shareholders as such. There is not money at the end of the year that gets distributed to individuals like you would have in the corporate world, right? In the Fortune 500 world, you have complete different dynamics. So we really make sure that all the money that is coming in through the World Cup gets redistributed into football globally. And I would say this is something where we can improve as well to make this known. Because the majority of my work is not as glamorous. Yes, during the World Cup it's a pitch side seat, sitting between the teams, managing with the match director, the teams and the referees. But then during the year, I think we're making sure that the money that we generate, and it's a lot of money. The finances of FIFA are public. You can every year you can see financial reports online. But what we actually do with the money, if you see some of the projects in parts of rural Africa, Asia, remote islands in Oceania, and you then see maybe you're supporting a youth league of under 15s. And then a couple of years later you see some of these players in a tunnel at a tournament. It's amazing. It's actually amazing to see a player that I had no idea how to get anywhere out of their community, of their island, and then 5-6 years later you see the same player like in front of cameras, knowing that millions at the World Cup, even billions of people are going to watch this player. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing if you know that you can maybe have a small contribution to help these guys.
Yeah. So you alluded to it then, but for those who don't know, FIFA is, it's got offices all around the world, but the headquarters is in Zurich, which is where you're based normally, aren't you? And then during tournament time, be it the World Cups, which is obviously the big statement tournament, but also we just had the inaugural Club World Cup. No judgment around that here yet. And then there's the Women World Cup again, which is getting bigger and bigger, and that'll be in Brazil, won't it? Next year? Is that next year or 28?
Yeah, next year, 27.
In 27.
Yeah.
But during the tournaments, staff get, I guess, assigned kind of tournament roles, right? So my friend Mark, he works in the ceremonies team. They're planning things like the World Cup draws or the tournament draws, all this kind of stuff, all of which needs staging. Essentially, these are little theatrical events. He works in that team. But during the tournament, he'll be assigned to a stadium. I think he's going to be in LA. And then he will be managing things like opening ceremonies. He gets involved in the trophy lift, that moment, all that sort of stuff. But your role during tournament, I just blew my mind, made me really laugh, because you are right in the heart of things, aren't you? So tell us a bit more about like your tournament role.
Yeah, no, Rob, exactly as you said. Look, we are a global company, and during the year we all have our roles. But then once the World Cup, or what we call the Tier 1 tournaments, or the top tournaments that we host over the summer usually, then we have specific roles in which, we have experience over many years. So I think since 2018, since the World Cup in Russia, I've been doing this role that I'm regularly holding, which is it's called an FTI Venue Manager. So it's Football Technology Innovation Venue Manager. So being responsible at one stadium, we have a big team, then at the stadium headquarters, being it in Miami or it was in Doha or in Moscow during the Russia World Cup. And we are basically one person per stadium that is looking after implementing all the technology that's football related. And if you look over the last years, it has been actually quite some change. More. I mean, it's a lot happening, and I think FIFA has been at the forefront of trying to really stretch the imagination as well of leagues. You see always after the World Cup, Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, the top leagues will then adapt and see, this has been implemented. So if you think in 2014, I think first time goal line technology was used as the big thing. In 2018, we had the first time VAR that was implemented at the World Cup. In 2022, we had the sensor in the ball, which really helped us to move on with semi-automated offside, which will now be fully automated offside, which is something people demanded. Quick decision taking, and my role is then on site to really make sure all of this gets implemented in the initial setup of the stadium, because you can imagine these stadiums, especially in the US, they're privately owned, they're run by organizations. Yes, they have teams linked to it, sometimes NFL teams, some have MLS teams in them. But once we come in and we have our exclusive use period when we can then operate the stadiums, we have to make it work for our purposes. It's very different to how you would run an NFL match to a FIFA World Cup setup. So it needs somebody on site who can then coordinate with suppliers, with technicians, with people who run cables, the amount of kilometers of cables that we try to hide, that you don't see, but that then enable our technology to work, so that both the players and the fans and everybody at home has the best experience, because that's what we want to deliver. We want to deliver the greatest show on earth when it comes to single sport events.
That, of course, must be the rationale for having something like the Club World Cup in America ahead of the World Cup, so you can forge those relationships, have some reference points for all that stuff that you've just described.
I mean, definitely it helps us when we have tournaments before. In the past, we had the Confederations Cup always a year before to have the readiness. But to be honest, the Club World Cup is a standalone tournament. It's our top club tournament, which I think as a product itself was interesting. Many different opinions. But I think over the years you will see it will be the main reference point. And you can already tell, I know from your experience here in Brazil, for example, the old version of the Club World Cup or the Intercontinental Cup was always the Brazilians. That's the biggest game for them, right? Because the only chance where they can actually play against the European Champions League winners. Yeah. And now having this format with 32 teams, with teams qualifying over the last 4 years, it will get bigger and bigger. Yeah. But definitely, I was based in the same stadium in Atlanta during the Club World Cup, where I will also be based at the World Cup. Yeah. And definitely, yes, it's so helpful. In the end, look, it's also people's business, right? You deal with people. Like, yes, it's technology, and you think, it's a fiber cable. But in the end, if you don't have a good relationship with the pitch manager of the stadium, if you are not understanding what you're trying to achieve together with the responsible IT person of the stadium, it can make your life very difficult. So it's a big advantage to have operated a stadium already once before the World Cup actually happens, and that's exactly what we're trying to do when we get sent to stadiums, maybe in a tournament before. Yeah.
Am I right in thinking you've got a semi-final in Atlanta?
Yeah, so Atlanta will go all the way from group stage all the way to semi-final, and then we only have 2 more matches after that, which is the 3rd place match in Miami and the big final then in New York and New Jersey. So really exciting. I mean, semi-final
it's going to be
very,
great.
Very big.
Yeah, I think always great games. Hopefully England will be in one of those. And you're a German fan? Or have you sort of adapted over the years?
To be honest, I was born in Germany, but home has been Switzerland for many years, and in Switzerland, we try to be neutral. And I think with my role at FIFA as well, I really managed to enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the game. Yeah, but I don't have a particular attachment to any of the teams. Over the years, I also really learned. You get to know some of the coaches, you get to know some of the players and the staff of the teams, and I'm happy to see people that I've known for many years doing good, and I know many people work really hard. The football industry can be brutal. It's long days, it's little rest, it's time away from your families. So if I see a team manager that I know has been really working hard and their team is doing well, I'm happy for them. Yeah. Obviously, in my role, I'm very neutral. There is no room for giving an advantage to any person that I know or any team. Yeah, of course. We have to be very professional, and of course, all my colleagues are. But they're human beings. The players, the referees, the coaches, they're all humans. So if I know somebody who has really dedicated their life to achieve something, not only for their own, but for a team, for a country, for a nation, man, it makes me really happy to see them doing well.
Absolutely. So I used to referee rugby league to quite a high level. I don't know if I mentioned this, Phil, and it was always really an anathema to me when people would talk about biased nature of referees, because what people fail to understand, I think, when they watch, and I understand it, I've supported teams all my life, and you get caught in the moment and the ref's the easy target. But first and foremost, the referee has a responsibility to their self, their professionalism, their own ambition, and they just want to do the best job possible and showcase them. And often as a referee, that means ideally being invisible, not being involved, not being the story. They really want to deliver as well as they can. And any thought that they kind of want to get involved in any sort of biased decision-making, A, they don't have time, but B, it's so self-sabotaging, and people just don't seem to understand that. And I hear what you're saying, that these are great people who are just wanting to, this is the pinnacle of their sporting career. They work years and years to get into these situations, and they just want to deliver like every player or coach or manager or a backroom staff or physio or like anybody else. So I totally hear where you're coming from on that. You mentioned it a little while ago, so the chip in the ball technology, obviously this is so crucial now. I guess originally it was around goal line technology and this automated or semi-automated, now fully automated offside system. Talk us through that. Literally, where is the chip? Is that right in the centre of the ball, and then you can measure from that point to the circumference? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's a sensor. And I'm glad you said it, because there's a lot of misconception or ideas around it. So we have it in the office. If you cut the ball open, you would see it's a small capsula in the very center of the ball with strings to it, and it has to be charged. So all the balls one of the tasks that I have in my run sheet, put them on charge. So there's a contactless charger, similar to maybe a watch, a sports watch that you would charge contactless, or a phone. And what it does, it mainly measures accelerations. So goal line technology is actually still a fully camera-based system. So the sensor on the ball is not doing anything for goal line technology. It's additional cameras that we mount to the catwalks, and they, for us, then calculate whether the ball crosses the line by just seeing parts of the ball.
Yeah.
But the sensor was really developed for semi-automated offside. Why? Because at all times we can track the players, their positions, the limbs of them, and the position to each other. But what we were always lacking is then really determining the kick point. So when, as the rule said, right, the offside is determined in the moment when the pass is played.
Yeah.
And while we have all the tracking of the players and we know where they are in relation to each other, the kick point is what actually requires the sensor, because you can then see a change in acceleration, know exactly what time the pass was played, to then go to the system and see at that moment where were the players in relation to each other. Yeah. This was the initial use case, but we've used it in the past then as well for other things. I remember during the World Cup in Qatar, there were a couple of decisions where players claimed that they had scored a goal after a crossing, and they said there was a header, and we could then go back to the data, and obviously it's more for statistics and for the goal scoring table, but we can then see the cross was played. You can clearly see a peak in acceleration. In the moment of the header, no change of acceleration, so there was no touch, so the goal would then be assigned to the player who did the crossing, rather than the person who claimed that he touched it with a head. And this is something that took a lot of development with our partner Adidas to make sure, because you then want to make sure, you have a small battery on one side of the ball, how to balance the ball that's in the air, it's still flying the way it should be. We then definitely check before the matches, half-time, check the balls for any rattling, see if anything got loose. Ball pressure has to be adjusted as well, depending on temperature, because sometimes the balls are maybe stored in a cooler place, then they're taken out into the actual environment where they will be played, which has influence on the pressure. But and then these balls are now they're very demanded, so it's interesting. Different fan groups and different cultures react differently to balls being hit into the stands. So it always demands a little bit of collaboration as well with security staff to get those balls back, because they're also all. At the World Cup, they're obviously all initialed, or we would say, they would be stamped with a match day.
Every ball's unique, and you understand.
You have a number. They're all numbered as well, so that we can then see if a battery is running low, if we go into extra time, or if we go into a penalty shootout, which balls should we use. That now they all have long battery life, but in the beginning, I remember this was a concern. It's a very interesting topic, because also being 10 years in the organization, there are some roles that have evolved, but this is really something where you have to be up to speed with the latest developments. So every tournament is a little bit different. Every tournament sees the implementation of new technology, which is exciting for everyone. The Club World Cup, I think if you remember, we had as well for the first time the camera on the earpiece of the referee. So all these things, that in the end they seem to be very smooth, but it's a lot of research, development, implementation that goes into it.
Yeah, totally. So do you have like an Adidas ball technician with you who's monitoring all of that stuff alongside you?
Yeah, I mean, at the big tournaments we have a lot of people. I've done it now for over 8 years, this role, and still some of the technology is so specific that obviously we have providers that do it day in and day out. So we would have people who would, for example, implement and operate goal line technology and video system refereeing on a weekly basis in Premier League, or in a weekly basis in the Brazilian league, and then we would have them joining us to actually run it for us, and we obviously work with them. Same with the ball, that Adidas would have somebody on site where we can say, okay, that's the person that in the end can run the technology, do all the background checks, and we then collaborate with that person to really control and oversee and also connect, because the stadium is like a little city. It's like a town, if you think. I mean, when it's full, for sure, there are 70, 80,000 people, but even if it's empty, if it's just the working staff, you have so many crossing points. Okay, we want to calibrate the pitch. It now has been laid, it has been marked, we need to now calibrate where the lines are. And then you have the groundsman, who's like, hey, this is my baby. You cannot just walk on it whenever you want, so you have to build a relationship, then connect some of your suppliers who have demands. They have like, look, we need to now calibrate certain things, we have to verify positioning data. But you cannot not just, if everybody would do this, there are like 50 different suppliers, and that's only my team. You have other people as well that have their demands to access the pitch. So you have to make sure that everybody gets their time on the pitch, and this has to be managed with people from the stadium. For example, your friend Mark, who wants to maybe test a pre-ceremony walkout with flag bearers. So all these people have demands on the pitch. But then the groundsman is saying, hey, this is the only living organism we have in this whole concrete metal thing. Be careful. It's mainly to play football. And we have to respect this. So it's really, it can be at times. And if everything runs smoothly and everybody sticks to their plan, that's fine. But imagine one of the balls didn't charge overnight, or the main person in the ceremonies team who is supposed to coordinate the flags is running late. So then the whole stadium has to adapt, because it's a very complex operation. You only have one pitch. Everybody wants to test certain things because they're relevant. The groundsman wants to protect the pitch because TV will want to have a perfect green pitch. The players deserve the best surface to play on the biggest stage of all. So, and that's what I mean. It's also people's business. Yes, you have your plans, you have your run sheets, you have on a match day in the beginning a countdown that's by the hour, then it goes by the minute, and in the end it's by the second that you have to be on time. And these things, they're all very valuable, but in the end you deal with people, and you have to compromise. You have to understand maybe also, okay, how important is VAR working versus a sponsor interest versus a beautiful ceremony on TV, and you have to compromise and really understand what are we trying to do here, what is the order of things.
And then as Jack and I spoke about, we both work in theatre and TV and film environments. You've got all of that, but similarly very, very technical environments with extraordinary experience and technology interacting. And you've talked about being people, but then you've got to throw in ego into that situation, which is obviously, and in your world, probably as big egos as there are, and that's not a matter of judgment. It's just a consequence of what people do. I was chatting to Mark. Mark was dealing with, he had 3 presidents of 3 countries manoeuvring him into stage at the right time in this in the World Cup draw. And all the people that surround them and the security and the ego and all that, it's just extraordinary. So you mentioned, you've made some mates in football over the years. Come on, do some name dropping, Phil. Who's been some of the most extraordinary people and relationships that you've developed over that time?
Well, there have been lots. I think some people leave a mark. And I think one person that I've always, and it's not because I'm currently in Brazil, but one person that is really, I think, has always impressed me to work with was Kaká. Just a person, a true gentleman, and somebody who gets it. I remember I once he was visiting the Zurich headquarters, and I had to go with him the next day to Lebanon. We launched a Football for Schools initiative, and we flew together, him and his brother and I. The next day we had a launch in the countryside of Lebanon. Beautiful setting, but very rural, very very dusty. I liked it, like a real football environment. The kids were going crazy. The parents were coming. I think we had Mourinho was there, Marcel Desailly, Samuel Eto'o, and Kaka. And I remember after we had our match, we set everything up. We went for lunch at a hotel. And I stayed a little bit back because I was managing more the football side of things with cones and bibs and quite technical. Yeah. So we were half an hour late, and when we came to the hotel, I remember he said, "Hey, Philip, you okay?" I said, "Yeah, everything fine. We're ready to eat now as well." And we had two big tables, lots of big names, like as you said, egos, and they are all telling stories from their time. Yeah. And he was like, "Hey, Philip, you just came from the pitch. You guys have a hotel room here as well?" I said, No. We just came back. We just want to have a quick lunch. He said, "Man, if you want, they gave us a room, and I'm done. There's still towels there, and if you want to have a shower, just refresh yourself." Like just somebody who understands. Look, there are people working here. Yeah. We all do a job, but if you want to have lunch, maybe these guys also just want to refresh themselves quickly before they're then sitting with world footballers around the table, and just small things where you see people are still people. Yes, they're superstars and they live a different life, but they're still connected to the real world. I think that's something that always impressed me when people just stay normal, stay humble, and can connect to the real world and real world problems. I think always something that I admire a lot when I can observe it.
Yeah, I bet. It's so interesting. It doesn't surprise me that about Kaki. He always came across as a super smart footballer on the pitch, didn't he? It's one of probably his USPs when he was in those shirts of those Italian clubs and in that famous yellow Brazilian shirt. How cool. Listen, I could talk for hours to you, but I'm very aware I'm impinging on your relaxing time as well. What, you've been to the gym this morning, I noticed already?
Yes, I went to the gym already.
Very good work. What's your plan for the day?
Yeah, I'll have another run probably at the beach. Just put some sunscreen on because it's very different to England. It's very hot and sunny. I have a run and then, maybe have an acai, enjoy some Brazilian food. And then, next week I'm also back in the office as well. So
are you back to Zurich?
Yeah, really enjoying my last days here.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's so good of you to take some time out, and maybe we could catch up again close to the tournament, after the tournament, and find out how it all went. I shall now be looking at footballs in a totally different way, and every offside in an Atlanta stadium you will come to my mind. And if England are playing there and it doesn't go away, oh man, you're going to get a call, Philip. Poor Frank Lampard must have loved this goal technology. I don't know if you remember the famous goal that Frank Lampard scored down in South Africa, which of course clearly crossed the line and was never awarded. Well, hopefully there'll be no moments like that in this upcoming World Cup.
As it was against Germany, I do remember, yes.
God. Oh my God. So classic. Well, listen, have a brilliant rest of your time in Brazil. Have an extraordinary tournament. Hopefully we'll catch up. It'd be nice to see you in the States. I'm going to try and dash about and see Mark in LA or maybe in New York. Will you go to the final in New York?
Yeah, I think after we close the stadium in Atlanta, then I think I'll support my colleagues in New York for the final bit. Yeah, I think it will be a fantastic 6 weeks. I think we can't even... If you think Mexico, they are crazy for football. Canada, they will always put on a good show. And the US, they are crazy for sports. Yes, football maybe is not the biggest sport there yet, but I think this tournament will have a great impact and you will see a fantastic atmosphere. And the fact that we have now 48 teams as well, with some of the nations like Jordan or Uzbekistan qualifying for the first time. You will see
Curacao.
Exactly.
I think that's so cool.
Small countries. You will see crazy passion. It's always special when a country for the first time gets the chance and their fans get the chance to actually really live this incredible month. So if you're over there, I have no doubt that you will enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah. I was looking at England's route through. If they win the group, every fan does this, don't they? They plot the route through as potential oppositions. But if England win their group, which you would think they should really based on form and who else is in the group, they've got a possible match against Mexico in Mexico City, which I think would be an extraordinary experience. And they might get Brazil in Miami in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals, I think. So that, again, is be one for the diaries. Listen, thanks again. Great to see you. Good luck with it all, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Rob, for having me.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Bye.
Oh, man, I could have spoke to Philip for hours. That is so fascinating, isn't it? And I think just the idea of, it's so easy, isn't it, to be critical from the outside about any movie you watch or play you watch. And of course we should be, you know, it's not our job to go into all the details and nuance of what goes behind creating something extraordinary. But it is worth stepping back every now and then and just thinking about all the people involved in any situation, all the pride and commitment that they want to demonstrate to all their individual roles, whether you're rigging wiring in the gantry of a stadium to facilitate all of that technology, or you're sourcing the flags that will be carried out as a flag waver, or you're carrying it and you're working in the TV and production. And if you're those people sat in those VAR booths desperately aware that billions of people are waiting for your decision and you want to get it right, and yes, it's frustrating, and I know pundits will sit in the studio and say it's killing the game and all that, and that's a whole other argument. But the fact is, a load of extraordinary people doing extraordinary things to try and bring us this premium top-tier entertainment. And to get that little insight, just a little bit about just the ball technology alone, let alone, I wanted to ask him about the conversations in the dugouts, because he's literally between the two dugouts on match day with the officials, the match day organiser, the match commissioner, and, you know, you'll have Carlo Ancelotti one side of you and Thomas Tuchel the other side of you, and all those subs moaning about decisions and the referees and the third referees and all of that pressure. And as you got there, he's a cool head. He's also very fun and lots of great stories. He was being very, very FIFA and Swiss in his reply there, so, which of course he has to, and I'm grateful that he was. But there was some great stories around dinner as well. So I am really, really grateful for Philip for doing that. Hopefully you found that interesting. I will endeavour to try and leverage those contacts of FIFA to get more insight like that, but hopefully it's been a fun little insight into the upcoming World Cup. Oh, my ticket requests have gone in. They've gone in for Brazil-Scotland, which will take place in Miami. It's the third group game down there. So I'm really, really hopeful I can go see that, which will be a wonderful thing to do as a half Scot. And for my late mother, it'd be great to be at a World Cup game supporting Scotland. And then I'm really, really hoping to fly up to New York and see the last England-Panama group game, which is the day after my birthday in New York. That would be special as well, and hopefully some friends will come over and join me to see that. And then, I don't know, I'm looking into staying on and seeing if I can get to either that match in Mexico, if England get there, or even that stay in Miami a bit longer, if I can try and work from there, and see a possible England-Brazil match in Miami. Oh, my God, it'd be so good. So I will try and do that, and there'll be certainly loads of Stage Door Athletic World Cup content coming from the USA, no matter what. So thanks for listening this week. Happy New Year to you all. Join us in a couple of weeks' time when we go back to the clubhouse and catch up with James and Jack. Loads to discuss, not least Ryan Mason is out of West Brom, so there'll be a new manager on the way there. Leeds only lost one since December in that brilliant Newcastle game, which I watched from Buenos Aires. Oh, so frustrated. It was never a penalty against Brandon Harrison. Anyway, so join us in a couple of weeks back in the clubhouse. Loads to catch up. No doubt more gloating from me. Happy New Year, and we'll see you soon.